Good morning, Teach Better family. It is good to see you again. This is, 7 a.m. here in the Eastern Time Zone, which means this is your daily drop-in for Thursday, May 26th. We are back today. We know that we still have a lot of emotions rolling around, and we're feeling a lot of the things, and we're still mourning, but we are going to attempt today to be a source of maybe some fun for you, some smiles for you, and some outdoor education talk, because we've got Becky Schnexer here to chat with us. And on Monday and on Tuesday, we talked about how we were excited about Thursday because Becky was going to be here, and this is like her jam. She literally wrote the book. It's sitting back behind her there on the wall around this topic, and this is something she's passionate about. So we're excited to get into that and chat with you, Becky. Though, if you're watching, please drop in the comments, say good morning, let us know how you're feeling. And if you're listening while you're getting ready, you just keep on doing your hair. You're looking great. It's awesome. But if you are with us, grab your cup of coffee. Come sit down, hang out with us for a little bit. If you're listening on Teach Better Talk podcast later, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe and leave a rating and review. But you got about 28 seconds to go get the coffee either warmed up or refilled, and we'll be right back. Good morning and welcome to Daily Drop, and we are live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. Becky, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Jeff.
I'm excited to have you here. It was a Sunday, I think. I got a text that just said, "Dude." I think on Monday I shared that's how you and I text. Typically, it almost always starts with just "dude." I don't know that we usually even bother to put the period. It's just "dude." Yeah. And even without a period, exclamation point, question mark, anything like that, somehow I always know what you're feeling from the one word. Whether you're about to ask something out of concern or you're excited. Typically it's because you're excited, maybe that's why. But you were just sharing that you were excited to come on the show this week and talk about outdoor education. But so it's awesome now to have you here. How are you?
Yeah, man, things are great. I mean, as great as they can be right now in the world, but it's good. The last few weeks have been super just rainy and stormy and overcast. And this week, starting like over the weekend, it's been sunny and beautiful and a little bit hot. I don't want to complain about heat, but it's, it just, the sun came out. And so that's been a great change. I know weather just has an effect on people. And especially, I think we all know in education, weather affects our learners. And so we've seen just a slight change, and coming up on the end of the school year, it's the typical excitement, scared, just the storm of emotions that are happening right now. But everything is great. We this year I started at a new school. I know we've talked about that a little bit. So that's been a journey. That's been an experience for sure. Yes. So everything's great. The summer is turning out to be amazing, and I'm sure we'll talk about summer plans at some point.
I want to get into your new school and your book and some other things, and your summer plans would be great as well. I want to note that Ray is in the comments.
All the green hearts,
because Ray's on like another somewhere across the pond in another world for a while still. So she's about, I think, 6-7 hours ahead. So it's like afternoon there. So it's nice to see you dropping in. She's got a whole bunch of green hearts for you. It's good to see Becky. For those who might watch and be watching and maybe aren't connected with you, which is hard to believe, honestly, in our community, but it's possible. Can you share a little bit about yourself, sort of, what you do in your backstory of your experience in education and such, and then I think from there, then I want to get into your school and about it and your book, and we'll just go all those places. So.
Yeah, of course. So I am Becky Schnexer. I'm an elementary educator. I'm a field scientist. I'm a writer. I am a lover of laughing. But what I've been doing, I can't believe this. I have almost been teaching 20 years. Like it's ridiculous. But I've been teaching for almost 20 years, everything from pre-kindergarten to fifth grade, all subjects. The first 7 years of my career, I was in public school teaching grade 5 and doing special education inclusion, teaching all the subjects. And then I switched to a different school for 8 years, and I was teaching only science to pre-K through fifth grade. And then this year, I joined a team and we opened a new school here locally, which has been absolutely amazing. But I've taught everything. When I'm not in the classroom, I'm either in my backyard, around the neighborhood, or around the world doing field science. And like Ray is right now.
Ray's not doing science. Well, she might be doing science. I don't know. I don't want to speak for her. She might be doing science.
We're all doing science all the time.
That's a good point.
So
she is doing science.
She is doing science, which is amazing. But I travel around and I do field science, and I bring that back to students. And of course, my students, selfishly, right, get the first the first experience with whatever I'm researching or whatever I'm doing out in the field. And then I create those materials for students and teachers around the world, open source, on my website, and really promoting outdoor education, because like I was saying earlier, like we're learning all the time. Learning doesn't stop. Science doesn't stop. It's happening all the time, all around you. And just helping people who it's not natural to see that right away. I love helping turn on those lights and make those connections for people. So that's really what I do. I don't sleep much, but I love everything that I do. I can't pick a favorite piece of it. Everyone always asks, like, what's your favorite thing that you do? Is it teaching? Is it science? Is it the field? I'm like, yes.
Yes,
like all of it. I love everything that I do. So that's a little bit about me.
I want to make sure that we say, big shout out to Ray, who is currently sciencing all over the place. So she's out there on her expedition. So I want to talk about your expeditions, but the first, the school you're in is a new school. It's a unique school, and it has someone who some people might know that helped get it rolling there. So tell us about your new school.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's been quite a journey. So locally, we just started a small independent school, specifically targeting low-income families in our area and looking at better ways to serve the families with wraparound services. And really, that starts with education. Everything starts with education. So our school is considered an independent school. It was financed by the nonprofit Yellow, which is under the direction of the Pharrell Williams, who is a local celebrity. You may have heard of him. He's happy. He's an amazing, amazing human being, but he's the one who really, this is his brainchild. He and his mother, actually, who's an educator, came up with this plan, and they brought together an amazing team. And so we've created this school. It's a fantastic school. Opening a school is hard. So I know I'm preaching to the choir. You guys probably know, like, opening a school is not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of things that happen, but opening a school and doing it during a pandemic has been quite a journey, but it's given us the opportunity to reinvent, to rethink the model of education that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, has been proven not to be the most effective. And we're disrupting that in the most positive way that we can. So just looking at what is education? What do we want our culture to look like? What do we want the teaching practices to be? What do we want education to truly be in a physical building or not? With what type of professionals do we want there? What type of human beings? What type of experiences do we want to provide for these young learners? And we call them explorers, which is, I'm sure you can imagine, that was in building this process, that word, I was like, yes, I already called my learners explorers. So it's been coming together in the most magical way, not without hardship, but absolutely full of passion, full of energy. And we're wrapping up the school year now. We've had one of the most amazing things when you think about field trips, just in education, you're like, oh yeah, once a year, twice a year, we got our fall trip, we got our spring trip. We go on field trips at least once a week, and oftentimes 2 or 3. And not just to say like, oh, we're going on field trips. No, we're going in the field, and we're going and connecting with local businesses and community partners. And we've had an ongoing partnership with a local museum. So our explorers have gone every other week to this museum to learn about the different exhibits, to create authentic art pieces. And they're actually having an exhibition next week. So next Wednesday, and the whole afternoon, their artwork's going to be up in the museum, and it's going to be a big community event.
So cool.
Yeah. And yesterday they just had, sorry, I'm like, I'm not going to apologize. I'm not sorry.
No, you don't apologize. You just go, girl.
I'm super hyped. Our explorers yesterday just put on a wellness fair. We've been talking all year about mind, body, spirit, taking care of yourself. Just what does that mean? What does that look like? Here are the different ways to do that. And yesterday they put on a 2.5-hour fair where they highlighted what spoke to them, and they engaged with community members in showing them how to take care of themselves, whether it's your mind, your body, or your spirit, or a combination of all of those. So it's just been, you just look around and the work is hard, but you're like, my gosh, today, like this 2.5-hour event that 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds put on. And I just sat there and just made sure they were okay. That's learning. That's education. That's the power of looking at a model that's outdated and updating it and taking the initiative to do it. So it's been thrilling.
And don't you dare apologize. I told you before we came on, I was just going to like throw up questions and let you go. And that's what we're doing, because I know your passion, and I know you don't. There's no way for you to keep it down. How much do you have left? So when are you done? How many days do you have? How long do students have, and everything?
I have no idea. June 15th. I can tell you the last.
June 15th. So you know the day.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have never kept track. Like I never do. It always June 15th. They'll be here, and I'm like, hey guys, I'll see you tomorrow, and they'll be like, yeah, no, this is the last day. Okay, guess that's it.
Now,
so it's coming up soon, and I'll look at the calendar, and we've got field trips and experiences happening.
It doesn't stop. No kidding.
Yeah. So
when it comes being a new school, and I know like you're heavily involved in obviously the decisions, the ideas that the school is continuing to work and implement or adjust and reflect on, everything like that. Are you planning for a different type of summer because of that? Is the staff, are you all coming together more often to reflect on the year? And is there a lot of work that's been done over the summer that isn't as typical because it's like you're brand new, right? You're trying to rebuild this school as you go. Is that the plan for the summer, or are you going off to some faraway land to explore, or both?
Yes.
It's both.
So yeah, the plan is we're spending the entire summer together and really reflecting, looking at, reflection is looking at what went well, what didn't go well, what are we going to change, what are we going to amp up, what are we going to decide that was not what we really wanted to do with our time and our experience. But yeah, we're spending the entire summer. We're still trying to figure out what does that look like, because we do need rest. And we do need to recharge. Everyone does. And so we will be getting together frequently to figure out moving forward and just building some things. We also have some transitions coming up where the physical building that we're in right now is not going to be our long-term building. And so there's a lot of those things happening. And there's a 5 and a 10-year plan. There's a global outreach program that we're going to be building. So all of those pieces have not yet come together. So we are spending a lot of time this summer putting that together and expanding our team. And as our explorers are growing, like this year, we're grades 3, 4, 5. Although we don't teach grade 3 math, whatever, it's all skills-based and mixed groupings. We, as our students in the typical system would go to 6th grade next year, we're expanding our school so that they can stay with us. So we're going to be expanding all the way to 12th grade as they grow up. And then simultaneously, moving down as well. So we're going to be expanding in both ways. And we're trying to figure out the best way to do that, the sustainable way to do that, the responsible way to do that, and how to not lose just the magic of what we've started right now. So long story, even longer. Yes, we're spending a lot of time this summer together, but being very intentional about time off and time away and unplugging. So I'll be spending a lot of time with this amazing team, but I'm also going out in the field. So
where are you going? Where are you at this summer? Where are you heading to?
Oh gosh. So I am going to the Amazon, back to the Amazon, which I haven't been since the beginning of the pandemic. And that if anyone knows me or you've just seen the cover of my book, it's all about the jungle and the rainforest. So it's very much a part of who I am. So I'm going back to the Amazon, and actually probably twice this summer in 2 different parts of the Amazon.
Wow.
So that's brand new news that I haven't really told anyone that. So you guys are all the
Is
first.
that through the school? Is that National Geographic? Like, who's that? Or are you just going?
It's none of those, actually. I'm going to one place in the Amazon with the National Council for Geographic Education. So NCGE. So I'm going, that's in July. I'll be going to Iquitos, which is northern Peruvian Amazon.
Okay.
And it's possible the day after school gets out, June 16, that I fly to the lower part of the Peruvian Amazon, which is closer to Pucallpa, which is where I've done all of my field work to date in the Amazon, is at a place called the Boiling River. So it's possible I'll go there the day after school gets out. I'll just hop on a plane and just go to the Amazon.
So when you're telling your kids I'll see you tomorrow, like you're forgetting that you're also going to jump on a plane tomorrow.
Yeah. So most likely the Amazon twice, for sure once, possibly twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to Tangier Island, which is an island off the coast of Maryland and Virginia. And I'm doing 4 days of field work there. It's possible I go to the Amazon June 16, fly back the 28th, 29th through 2nd. I go to Tangier Island. And then I'll come back for a week, 2 weeks, go back to the Amazon, and then turn around. I'll come back from the Amazon and go to Maine to do some watershed and outdoor education field work. And
then you'll start the school year.
And then, and the school year starts. So in between that, I'll be working and doing school things.
Wow.
There's also a possibility I go to Minnesota to do some archaeology work, which is super exciting. And that's in between. So Amazon, Tangier Island, possibly archaeology in Minnesota, Amazon, and then Maine. So, oh my gosh, that's 5.
That's 5. And then the most exciting expedition of all of them in October coming to Ohio.
Yeah, the Teach Better Conference.
You want to come hang? If you're loving Becky's energy and you want to come learn more about everything that she's got going on, she'll be at the conference.
Yes.
Technically, she hasn't confirmed that she's coming, but I'm confirming for you all.
Yeah, I'm confirming right now. So you guys are the first ones
right now,
right next to Jeff. I'll be there, and I might talk about science.
You might talk about. She might talk about science. Well, listen, we're going to talk more about science and outdoor education here. We're gonna jump into our brainstorm bank. I want to come back. I want to start right into your book and what's in it. We've mentioned it a couple of times. I want to touch on it, and then I'm just going to let you kind of go about outdoor education a little bit because I just know it's going to be. We joke about like Chad. We just when it comes to the grid method, we just put a quarter in him. It's like a dime for you, and you just go it's. I don't know why it's a dime. I don't know because
I'd settle for a penny. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a penny. Actually, it's just a free machine. We just pull the string. It's awesome. You're like a toy. It's great.
Perfect.
Anyway, we're gonna be back to do that, I guess. Welcome back to Daily Drop. We're right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And we're chatting with Becky Schnexer, and we're talking all kinds of stuff. A little bit of science. We're talking a little bit of science and some other stuff, too. Actually, it's all science. It's all science. But the theme for this week, Becky, is outdoor education. And we talked a lot about it, and it's been some really good conversations. But as I mentioned earlier in this show, that on Monday and Tuesday, Monday, Dave and I were talking about how we were pumped because today we have you, so I'm excited to get into that. So I want to touch on your book first because we were just talking a lot about your expeditions and the things that you do, and it is expedition science, so there's a tie in there. You referenced it, and then we'll kind of get into more of the your passion and your thoughts around outdoor education, which I think is going to come right from your talk about the book too. So tell us about the book. What is it about? I always love to hear sort of the how did you get to writing it and the experience of that too. So take us on that journey.
Yeah. So I wrote a book. It's called Expedition Science: Empowering Learners Through Exploration. And I think that's it's a mouthful, but I couldn't pare it down because it was just, the book is about empowering students and doing that through the lens of science. And really, You've heard I'm an elementary educator, and I've been an elementary educator probably my whole life. I've almost been teaching 20 years, but I truly think inside I've been an educator my whole entire life. I've been a scientist, an explorer my whole entire life. And so this book, when I became a formal educator, I stepped foot in the classroom, I realized very, very quickly that science and social studies, in particular science, is neglected. It's either pushed to the side, it's not taught, or it's just, this is the way I was taught. All right, open your books to chapter 2. We're going to talk about atoms, molecules, and compounds today. And then the next day, all right, we're going to look at this picture of a volcano. And the next day, we're going to talk about what plants need. We're going to talk about what plants need. And so I found myself as an educator seeing both of these. Either we're not teaching science, or we're teaching it the way that I was taught when I was little, and neither of those are good options. And so at that time, I became just a champion for science. How am I going to energize people? How am I going to get them comfortable? How are we going to build science and put it back, elevate it to the point that it should be? And so this book really takes you through my journey as an educator and realizing what I realized about science, making some realizations about my own educational journey, and then how I transform that every single day with my learners. So every chapter opens up about just a story. You're thrown into my classroom, or you're thrown into the middle of the Amazon with me, being chased by a jaguar in the jungle. And then it shows you how I use that experience, or how do I use this story, this narrative, and weave it into my classroom. How do you make education not a lesson, not a talk, not the traditional things that we possibly experience as educators, but how do I make it an experience? And I think that's the biggest thing for me is exploration. I guess all the E words, expedition, exploration, experience, is really what you're going to find in this book. You just get insight into what I've done, and hopefully that sparks something for you. And you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, I could do that. Or, oh my gosh, I could do this. And that takes, it sparks an idea, because I don't want you to read the book and say, I have to be Becky, because you don't have to, and I don't want you to be, right? No one should be a copy of someone else when you could so amazingly be you. So hopefully in the book, what I want to bring across is just the importance of experiences in the classroom, whether it's science, math, social studies, music, reading. All of these things are hugely important to being a human being in the world. And my perspective is just showing you that through science. How can we tackle that? Like we were talking before, Ray's around the world doing science. We all are. Me sitting in the chair. I wish you could see how I'm sitting in this chair. I'm sitting on my feet, but my legs are just whatever. That's science. That is physics. The fact that I'm not falling out of the chair is physics. The fact that I probably will fall out of my chair during this broadcast, also physics, right? Science is happening all the time. And you just have to tag into it and see the opportunity. And I know that that's not natural for everyone. So I'm looking for ways to show other people who that's not a natural thought process for them, how they can train their mind to see those opportunities. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into the book. I think it took about 3 years to create, and it really is a work of heart. I say that slightly as a joke, but also seriously, it's my teacher, my science soul on pages. And I hope that you get it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you would like a signed copy, just send me a message and I can make that happen for you.
I love it. And I was, I consider myself very fortunate and privileged to have been in quite a bit of communication with you as you were going through the process of writing it. And I can confirm that it was definitely a work of heart. And the level of energy and stress and just passion that went into that, and from down to every little detail of the cover to the words on the back to everything. I mean, it was you felt it, and so it was such a cool moment when it came out, and you were finally like. Because it was so important. So I love that. Can we do a little like example, a test, experiment? I'm going to use the E word here.
Yeah.
You mentioned you sit in a chair in physics.
Yes.
I'm your class.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
Oh, about sitting in the chair. So I think we all know.
because like that's such a like a real thing. Like at this point, if
Yeah.
I'm standing right now, but in your class, I'd be sitting, right? Probably like
Yeah,
possibly on
maybe.
my legs too. Funny, possibly I already fell out of my seat once today because kids do that sometimes.
Yeah.
As we all
Yeah.
do.
I mean, I think in almost 20 years of teaching, I've maybe seen like one person fall out of a chair. No, it happens all the time, right? And my learners this year, my explorers this year are
Mary Kay
pro.
says hashtag I fall a lot.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. So yeah. So first of all, in the physical classroom, when I'm confined to a classroom, which it happens sometimes, they can sit however they want as long as they're awake and attentive and engaged. So sometimes I have students laying on the floor, they're on a beanbag, they're sitting in the windowsill, they're sitting like me in this chair, like literally my knees are like at my chest right now, or they're sitting on their bottoms, or they're on, they're on one leg or two legs or three legs instead of four legs on the floor. And so the way that I would tackle this in my class, first, they know that I sit like this, and they know every once in a while I almost fall, just like our friend here. And we just, first, you got to check that they're okay when they fall. And then second, then we can laugh. And then third, we talk about it. Like, why did that happen? This year, I've tackled that a lot with structural engineering, because I have tools with me all the time. Super nerd. Two things I always have on me, a very small tool set and a Lego minifigure. We can get to Lego minifigures another time, but I have tools with me. And so we've talked a lot this year about the structural integrity of chairs. Why do chairs have four legs? And so when someone falls out of their chair, sometimes it's me, we talk about, oh my gosh, why did that happen? Cause and effect, right? Get your language arts things in there along with the science. So a lot of times, why did that happen? Why does a chair have four legs? Well, why does that chair have three legs? Or why is that stool only on one, and why does it rock? So we do a lot of why did that happen? And then we, like I keep saying, structural integrity. If the chair has four legs, and now we've talked about why it has four legs, because it's distributing the weight in the perfect way. Those, why are the bolts and nuts the way that they are? Why is that crisscross pattern of the metal the way that it is? We do a lot of that talking, and then I bring the tools out and I teach them how to then fix the chair that has a wobbly leg on it. But of course, laws of motion, right? The first, second, third laws of motion. We talk about inertia. We talk about gravity. Why did you fall out of the chair? Well, structural integrity, you weren't using the chair correctly, and also gravity pulled you down. Why does your bottom hurt? Well, let's talk about that. We get some anatomy in there, so that's really what happens. So those falling out of chair moments are opportunities, right? It's an opportunity for me to get mad, but I choose not to. I choose to check on the learner, make sure you're okay. Then we choose to laugh because we're choosing joy. And then we choose to learn about why and how that happened and how we can prevent that in the future. So that Jeff is what happens.
I love it.
In my room. Yeah. So tools, we've tightened a lot of bolts this week in particular.
I know I'm not the only one wondering right now. What tools are in your small tool that are always with you?
Yeah. So
what tools you always carry with you? Like, what is it?
I have a little. It's not in my pocket right this second because it's in my book bag that's about 5 feet away. But it usually sits in my pocket. It's about the size of a credit card, but thicker than that. And it has a set of Allen wrench pieces, little tiny bits, almost like drill bits. But we're using it with our hand. A set of Allen wrenches, some Phillips head, and some flathead screwdrivers is really what I always have on me. But that also can double as a hammer. It also can double as like a wedge to unconnect or unconnect. Sorry, folks. I'm a
unconnect works. We'll go. You can say unconnect. We all know what you meant. It's cool. Like, it's all right.
That's prefixes, suffixes. I would say that in the classroom, and we would talk through that as well. So that's what I have on me at all times. That little set of tools.
So let's talk about specifically now outdoor education.
Yeah.
We mentioned that we knew someone who ran an all outdoor class. That was you. That was last year? Last school year. Where your class was outside. Like, that was your, like, you weren't inside and taking your class outside. Your class was just outside. If you want to share about that, you can. But in general, where I really just want you to go is the importance of, I think you can maybe intertwine that into the importance of outdoor education, how we can utilize it, but then also I think bringing it back to the teacher who is not going to have an outdoor class. Maybe he doesn't teach science. And how do I use outdoor education? I think I'd like to hear you go beyond the idea of like, well, we talked earlier this week about like, well, one simple way is you can go outside to just change up the environment, to change up the atmosphere, to change up where you're at. But like, how do we take them beyond that? How do we really utilize the outdoors to help our explorers learn and grow?
Yeah. So my number one secret about everything that I do is that I make it up as I go along. So I think a lot of people are like, Becky, she's got it all figured out. Like she knows everything. No, she does not. She's figuring it out as she goes along. I get these awesome ideas. I was going to say crazy, but I made the choice to say awesome. I come up with these awesome ideas and then I just try them out. And so with outdoor education, learning is happening all the time, everywhere that you are, whether you're in a space, whether you're outside, whether you're walking down the stairs, falling down the stairs, tripping over your own feet, like that happens to me a lot. Those are all you're learning, you're failing and you're learning and you're moving along. So when it comes to outdoor education, there's some things, especially in science, that the best way to learn anything, I'm just going to say, is an experience. I was going to say there are some things that are better learned outside, or some things that are better learned through experience, but I think everything is better learned through experience. But when it comes especially to science and you're learning about plants, why look at a diagram on a paper or why look at the poster on the wall that whatever, instead of walking outside and looking at real live plants that exist IRL, right? In real life. Why not? I'm studying insects. Yes, I can throw up a diagram on a board, or I can draw a picture of the 3 body parts of an insect, and it has 6 legs, and it has antenna, and it has, blah, 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 all of these things. Or I could go outside and I could go see the ants and see the grasshoppers and see the beetles. Or better yet, I could take advantage of the insects and arachnids that show up in my classroom. Right? Who hasn't been freaked out for a moment about the spider climbing on the wall in your classroom, or the house centipede that's crawling its way through the classroom floor, right? We all, it startles us. We scream. Some scream more than others. Some jump on chairs, and there's that science again, right?
And then you fall off the chair.
Taking advantage of all of those opportunities. I think using the outside is it's another opportunity to learn in a different way, to experience things in a different way. Whether I've heard all week, whether it's just, I was going to teach this math lesson inside today, we're just going to pick up and sit outside. That's perfect. The outdoors, there's no rules of what's good outdoor or like what's worthy of being outdoors and what's not worthy of being outdoors. Everything is worthy. But if that's where you are and you're just going to take the lesson that you had and bring it outside, or if you have a setup already, that's great. I have never actually had an outdoor classroom specifically set up. I created those things just out of sheer will and wanting to make it happen. So my school right now, we're on a city block. It's an urban setting. We have a little teensy bit of green space that's not even really usable necessarily as a traditional classroom. Like we don't all fit in that space, but we make it work because there's sidewalk space, there's grass space. I bring blankets so that we can sit outside. There's no formal setup. Even at last year when I taught outside for an entire school year, which by the way, I made up as I went along, and which by the way, my administrators were not on board with. And I made it happen because I knew it was the right thing to do. And I knew it was going to be powerful. There was no outdoor classroom set up there. I just wanted it to happen. So I made it happen. So I called a local tree removal service and I asked them if when they take down trees, could they cut it into stumps, and what can I do to get those at my school? And I made it happen. And I actually almost got in trouble for that, but I made it happen because I wanted it to happen. Or if you don't have these setups, it's great if you do, but cutting boards, really cheap dollar store cutting boards, we bring outside to sit on sometimes. I just bring blankets and flat sheets for your bed. I bring those to school because my family's weird and they don't. I would love to sleep in a bed with a flat sheet, but the rest of my family doesn't do that. So we have all these flat sheets from sheet sets that we don't use. So we build forts, or we sit on them outside, and that's our seating. But moving from just using the outdoors, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but just taking a lesson you would have done today and sitting outside to do it, moving from that to purposefully using your space takes some patience, and it does take some rethinking of what you're doing. So I think that's the biggest struggle that some people have. They put that pressure on themselves to feel like they have to have it all figured out, and you don't. But looking around you, if I know that I have to teach plants coming up, and I need to know what plants need to survive, I need to know invasive, native, introduced, I need to know soil erosion, I need to know these things, then I just do a quick walk outside and I look for, how can I best illustrate this in real life? And so I just spend a lot of time outside just looking and thinking, writing down notes to integrate whatever I'm going to teach in a more authentic way. But that doesn't mean that that's the only time you can be outside. So I don't want anyone to think, like, as they're listening, they're like, I couldn't possibly go outside because I don't have this all figured out. One, you don't have to have it all figured out. And two, just look for an opportunity. If it's just taking your reading group outside to enjoy a little bit of vitamin D and a breeze and the birds chirping in the background, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's a different season right now. So if you are just going out to experience something different, that's perfectly fine. If you want to make it more deep and you want to connect, I can help you put those pieces together. I can help you brainstorm, but it's just a difference in how you think about teaching. Just the same difference in a lesson plan. What I was taught in college, this is how you lesson plan. This is how you scaffold learning. And then knowing now through my own experience and knowing that experiencing something rather than having a lesson is more powerful for my learners, I had to switch the way that I think about it. So that's really the big difference, I think, in thinking and using the outdoors for education.
I think at the conference in October in Ohio that your session should be outside. And I want to figure that out with you. I'm picturing you taking a group of teachers all around Akron and having them find all the ways they can purposely use the world. And that's not going to be like a wood setting, right? That's a city. So like, it'll be, I think, a challenge. Anyway, so think on that for, let's see, now your mind's already
I'm
going.
so glad. You have no idea. All week, that is what I've been thinking about. I was like, how am I going to pitch this idea to the Teach Better team that I should do that? And so I'm glad you brought it up, because we're on the
I'm envisioning you like walking with them and like stopping, like, okay, like, what do you see? Like, how could we use this? Because now they're having an experience of how you just go out and find opportunities. And I think there's it'll be really cool. Interesting. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's Ohio, so we might want to have like ponchos on hand too, because
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, I was just thinking as you were saying that, your geographic location and your specific climate and weather patterns are super important to have in mind. Last year, our weather here in Virginia is we experience all 4 seasons, and sometimes we experience all 4 seasons in one day. And so knowing that and just having a closet of things ready to go. And that's also why I have tools on me, because I've known just in general, I need to have those things. And I actually taught with a tool belt last year because I didn't have a desk. And when you're wandering outside, sometimes you need something and you got to have it on you. And even my adventure pants, my jungle pants, don't have enough pockets for all the things that I might need. And the geographic location doesn't matter. Your outdoor space is great outdoor space. I had a great campus last year, and now I'm on a city block. And so I tap into that. And as we move forward with a new building in this school, we're going to literally be in a downtown location. And it is, talk about city blocks, like it is a downtown situation where my next building is going to be. So looking for opportunities for outdoor education there is going to be very, very different. So that's a lot of time a mental block is, but I don't have this beautiful campus and I don't have the great seating set up. And I'm like, I don't either. I don't. I make it up as I go along.
Okay. I'm excited to chat with you more about what that's going to look like at the conference. I think there's
even Teach Better 2019, when I was presenting, it started to snow. And I think Elijah
You're
Carver
right.
had some comments. It started to snow. And I was like, hey guys, look outside. It's snowing. What can we do with this? Those are opportunities. I think as teachers, those types of opportunities, the first thing we want to do is close the blinds. Nobody look. Yes, it's snowing. Forget it. I'm like, no, but what could you teach with that snow?
Mm-hmm.
How can we segue and use that to our go outside? Especially I live in Virginia. It doesn't snow here super often. So when it snows, we go outside, right? Like you can't ignore that. You have to go and take advantage of that. And whether it's specifically an academic experience or it's just for funsies, it's okay to have fun. It's okay to have joy in education, and you should have fun and you should have joy. So just little side note.
I love it. And I'm not going to lie, when you use the word segue, I imagined you doing your session with everyone on segways. So like that
Let's make it happen.
Would be a whole different type of experience, and probably a lot of physics.
Yeah, a lot of physics in segways.
A lot of
robotics
physics
engineering
opportunities there as well. Wow. Okay. So that's exciting. This was awesome. I want to get into, I do want to share a good news story. We do have there's just some sort of fun holidays today, and hopefully that brings a smile to someone. We'll continue there. So we're going to jump into our good news story now. Welcome back to Daily Drop-In, where we are live Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. We've got the one and only Becky Schnex here. We've been talking all sorts of outdoor education and experience and falling out of chairs and all kinds of good stuff. Becky, you are the guest. I've been doing this since I got to take over this week. It's your choice. Are we going to go to the holidays first or the good news story first? Which would you like to go to first?
I think holidays.
Holidays. Okay, so holidays are always, we share the good news and we share the holidays because one, hopefully maybe it'll put a smile on your face, but also we're hoping that there's an opportunity to start a conversation with your colleagues, with your students, with your family, with the random person you're going to bother at a coffee shop and let them know that today is actually National Paper Airplane Day. So today is National Paper Airplane Day. I don't know if you're a paper airplane fan or not, but that's a thing. It is also National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. Are you a cheesecake fan?
Oh am I? Yes, that is my all-time favorite. I love cheesecake.
Are you a blueberry cheesecake? Is that because I like cheesecake, but I'm not a blueberry cheesecake fan.
I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try it.
Well, that's good.
It's a holiday. You have to celebrate, Jeff.
That's good. That's true. It's also World Lindy Hop Day. It's a dancing style that I just learned about today. But so if you want to look up how to do Lindy Hop dance, that'd be great. Maybe a fun little exercise to do with your kids, or just by yourself. That's fine too. And also a very happy birthday to Lenny Kravitz. Today's his birthday. So are you going to go my way? Important. He's been around for a while. I don't know if you're a Lenny Kravitz fan. I've always been a fan of his. So yeah. So that was our holidays. Not a whole lot. Some days we have like 500 of them. But today, fun was we'll get some blueberry cheesecake, figure out how to Lindy Hop dance, and then build a paper airplane and throw it at people. There's signs there for sure.
Oh my gosh. There's so many things you can do with paper airplanes. That's one of my favorite experimental design things.
Because today is Paper Airplanes Day, so let's take it. Let's roll with it.
Perfect. So easiest thing to do is take paper. I mean, you can do this 100 different ways. So I'll slow down maybe at my excitement, probably not. You can test different types of paper. So if you have computer paper, just writing paper, notebook paper, construction paper, tissue paper, cardstock, cardboard, any paper that you have or any supply, you could do it with aluminum foil, which is super fun. But if you make the same design of paper airplane with all of those different materials and just test which one goes the furthest, which one goes higher, which one stays in the air the longest, you can choose what you want to test. Super easy. Or you could test different designs. I'm sure if you hop on the internet and you do an internet search, you could find all kinds of things. Or you can just say, hey, explorers, we're going to talk about paper airplanes today. This is powerful, right? We're empowering our learners. What do you want to know? What do you want to test about paper airplanes? And just let them loose, empower them to do it, give them the supplies they need, and help them. There's your science and there's your math, right? We're going to collect data and we're going to analyze it. So weave those things in there. And then you could connect what types of different airplanes are there. What about, how is this connected to hang gliders? How is this connected to parachutes? How is this connected to space exploration? How is this connected to military vehicles? So there's so many different things that you can do. And even better, can you throw these paper airplanes outside? What? So there's so many different things. I love to use paper airplanes for experimental design. So just talking about variables, talking about hypothesis, talking about all of these things, because it's super fun. I always, every year though, am astounded how many young people do not know how to fold paper airplanes. I felt like I spent most of my childhood doing that. So really interesting, good, like fine and gross motor skill practice. Yeah. So if you want to justify it in a certain way, just ask me and I will give you all the justification.
You just justify the heck out of it. So, all right. Okay. Same thing.
Okay.
But blueberry cheesecake.
All right. Blueberry cheesecake. We can talk fractions. We can talk chemistry. We can talk nutrition. We can talk what happens when you eat something, right? The digestion starts as soon as you put that piece of food in your mouth, right? And then you get to talk about poop, right? And you can talk about what you can learn about living things through their scat. And so they're right. And then you could go outside and you can look for scat samples. How do I know this is bird scat? How do I know this is cat scat? How do I know this is a bobcat? How do I know this is snake or worm poop? Right? There's so many rabbit holes or wormholes you can go through. Yeah, Jeff, let's do it. Yeah.
We were talking cheesecake and now we're talking poop. I don't know.
And now we're talking poop.
I didn't want you to do that.
But it happens, right? Or you could talk about fruits. You could talk about, oh my gosh, plants, right? How did that blueberry get
the plants? Oh, yeah.
Right? Geography. Oh, yeah. Where in the world has the most blueberries? Are the blueberries in Spain different than the blueberries in China? Probably. Or does China get their blueberries from Spain or whatever it is, right? Are there blueberries in Antarctica? Do penguins eat blueberries? You know, so all of these things, you just start asking questions and you can teach all kinds of things. It can start with a paper airplane. It can start with blueberry cheesecake and end up in poop. And kids like talking about poop. So you should just
to note.
You should just talk about it, right? And then gas, right? When students are releasing methane in your class, which I had an explorer doing that yesterday. It was very interesting, but all I could think was, how do I tackle this through science? And right, it's a chemical reaction. It's a sign of a chemical reaction. It's the release of methane. We could talk about global climate change through the release. Yes, Elijah, through that, because there's connections too to the pastures in the Midwest of the United States and cows and the release of methane and its possible contribution to greenhouse gases and global climate change indicators. So yes, poop can go all, yes.
By the way, teachers also like to talk about poop.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so much fun. It's engaging, right? Just the word poop elicits such interesting reactions from people. And then you just take that opportunity and you run with it. So, you know,
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Like I knew you would. I'm like, oh, she's got this. I'm like the paper airplanes. She's gonna take it. I said, I'm like, and then while you're talking to that, I'm like, wow, she's going like even more than I thought. Connected to 5,000 things. I'm like, I'm gonna throw a cheesecake at her. And like part of me was like, oh, you'll get her. Another part was like, yeah, right. Like she's got this. And then you went, and I love it. That's awesome. So, wow, that's really cool. All the ways you can do it. All right, so now we're gonna do it with the good news story.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you just go. But the good news story, I found this. I actually heard about this the other day. I can't remember where I heard it. So I hope it wasn't on Daily Dropping. But it was kind of cool. There's a graduating seniors at an LA art school college got a pretty nice surprise when they were graduating. It's 284 students of the class of 2022 from the Otis College of Art and Design. Found out at graduation that their entire student loan debt was being paid off.
Wow.
And it's because it was from the college's most successful alumni. It's the co-founder of Snapchat, Evan Spiegel. And he did it through his Spiegel Family Fund. And there was a partner that came in. It was Cora Beauty founder Miranda Kerr helped donate as well. But more than $10 million. They didn't disclose the total amount, but it was a record-breaking gift of more than $10 million to pay off the entire senior class's student loan debt. And Spiegel shared how that school changed his life, made him feel at home. He felt pushed, he felt challenged, he felt inspired because he was surrounded by such amazing artists and educators that support him. And so, like, to think about that, obviously, what an awesome surprise, right? You're about to go into the workforce. You know, one of the things that you hear about all the time is I'm going to have to pay off these student loans. It's going to kick in, right? No more deferred. And then it's gone. Boom, debt free. Now these students now have an opportunity to not have that burden and to go off and to know that, yes, there's a negative Nancy over here. It's like, oh, he's a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. He's just looking for a tax fund. But his reasoning is because he was impacted by the teachers there, by the educators there. And that drove him to say, like, I want these kids to have the opportunities that I have, and using some of that fortune for good. And I love that. That's a really cool story. So
yeah, that's the power of education and the influence is we underestimate that as educators, I think. And it's oftentimes, especially now, there's so much negativity about education and what we should and we shouldn't be doing and all of these things. And it's so easy to forget just how important what we do, every interaction that we have, the words that we use, the facial expression that we have, the experiences that we plan with our learners are so impactful. And this is a prime example of someone who realized that and they chose to use that and give back. That's empowering them, right? Yeah. That's so beautiful. So great, good news story. Yeah. I'm so glad that you shared that.
So great, good news. Where you can take that with your kids and share that. But I think Becky gave you plenty of ways to utilize our holidays of National Paper Airplane Day and Blueberry Cheesecake Day to intertwine that in. I think you hit every single subject. So that was awesome, Becky. I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with me this morning. I want to make sure everyone sees Becky's handle is right in her name there, so you can go follow her, connect with her, reach out to her. If you want a signed copy of a book, just message her to get that. If you want to come hang out with her, come hang out at the Teach Better conference with her, and maybe we'll go exploring outside in Akron. Who knows? We're going to work on that. So super excited to have you coming out. Appreciate you being here. Lastly, I do want to note, like, with everything going on, if you are hurting, if you need a place to go, need a place to cry, a shoulder to lean on, someone to vent to, whatever that is, we are still here for you always. Hopefully this show brought you some a sense of, I don't know if normalcy is the word I'm looking for, but knowing that you have this to lean on, that we're still here for you. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the one and only Brad Hughes to wrap up your week. And Becky, appreciate you. Have an amazing summer with all we figured out 5 different expeditions that I'm not sure you knew about until this morning either. But we're excited for you. Looking forward to watching all the pictures and the journey on Instagram. And we will see you in October in Ohio.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Have an amazing rest of your day. If you need anything, let us know.